Hi, I'm Kimberly Washburn, Curator of Education at the Florence County Museum. Welcome to February's Family Day at Home. This month we're learning all about texture, and this activity, called Creative Collagraph, is a type of printmaking that highlights texture. Let's get started. You're going to need to gather a few things from your Family Day at Home kit. You're going to need one of your white sheets of paper, your 4" by 4" piece of cardboard, your small piece of sticky back foam. It's foam on one side and paper on the other that peels off like a sticker. You have a small piece of corrugated cardboard. It's bumpy. You're going to need a little bit of yarn from the bag of yarn that we used in our Simple Stitches project. So you should have a little bit of yarn left over, even if it's just yarn scraps. Go ahead and gather those to use for this assignment as well. You have your sponge. Now we've used this sponge in another project as well, so if you haven't done that one, save it for your other project as well. You have a Q-tip, some acrylic paint, and some glue. You might also want to gather a few other things from around the house. You're going to need scissors, and you're going to want something that is flat that we can use to press down on our paper to print the texture that we're going to use. Now, I like to use a wooden spoon for this. You can also use a wooden rolling pin or just your hands if you don't have anything else, but anything that's going to really help you press that paper flat down into your texture of your collagraph will work well. So we are going to start by taking our cardboard, our blank cardboard 4x4 sheet, and setting that down on our table surface. Now this cardboard is going to be our printing plate. We're going to build a printing plate on top of this piece of cardboard. So everything that we cut or use in this collagraph will be attached to this cardboard piece. So you can create any kind of design that you would like to create using the materials that you have. Again, you have corrugated cardboard, you have string, you have this sticky back foam. If you find other things around your house that you might want to use in your collagraph, things like bubble wrap or other types of materials, then you are welcome to use those from around the house as well. So let's get started. We are going to create a design on our printing plate. Now this design can be, something that is representational, meaning it can be something in real life, or it could just be abstract, just lots of textures sort of scattered on your printing plate. I think I'm going to create a mountain landscape for my collagraph. So what I'm going to do is start by cutting out parts of my materials that I want to use. So I'm going to just cut out some mountains out of my corrugated cardboard. It's not hard to cut through this stuff, but it is a little bit finicky to get my scissors around. So here I have some little mountains that are going to be in the background, and I'm just going to put that at the bottom of my printing plate. I'm not gluing anything down yet. I want to be able to move things around until I'm happy with the way that they look. I think that I'll use my foam, sticky back foam, to create a cloud. It'll be a nice cloud, fluffy cloud kind of day in my landscape. Okay, I'm just gonna put that over here. And then I think I'm gonna use my string to create a sun over on the right-hand side, just kind of swirling my string around. So I'm gonna need glue to do that. I'm gonna go ahead and start gluing things down where I want them to go. I'm going to put my cloud up here, open up my glue cup. My Q-tips are what I'm going to use to apply the glue. So I'm just going to put glue all over the back of my corrugated cardboard. I want the texture side to stick up. because I want to catch all that wonderful texture in my print. Okay, so lots of glue. I'm going to go ahead and get that stuck down. It's okay if you have extra glue kind of coming out the sides here, and I'll tell you why in just a few minutes. And then last but not least, I'm going to add the sunshine right over here. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on my printing plate where I want my yarn to go. Then I'm just going to get my piece of string and stick it down and start just spiraling it around itself. Now you don't have to use your string like this. You could just could have created clouds with this, or like little wisps of wind maybe. Lots of different ways that you could use your string. But it's easiest to put the glue down first and then move your string around to where you want it to go. So I like to just pull it where I want it and then just pat it down. Okay, so now I have my sunshine. I'm gonna just go ahead and cut that extra yarn off. I could save that yarn and use it in another area of my collagraph, but I think I'm happy with this design. Now we do have to let our glue dry. So there is a little bit of time between making your printing plate and printing your printing plate. Another thing that we have to do before we can use our printing plate is seal it, because we don't want the paint to make our printing plate come apart. So we're going to add a layer of glue over the entire top of our printing plate. And there are several ways that you can do that. You can use your Q-tip that you started with and just really get glue, just paint the glue onto all the surfaces of your collagraph. So you can kind of paint glue all over it. You can also use your sponge and kind of just squeeze it in all over. That includes on top of your sticky back foam, all the areas around it. Anywhere you have string, you want to go ahead and seal that up by adding a layer of glue. It'll also help keep everything in place. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do this. Once you have added your sealant, once you've added the glue sealing, you've sealed your piece, you should let it completely dry before you are ready to print. So I have added glue, covered the entire surface of my printing plate with glue to seal it, and I'm gonna let that dry. That can be a little bit messy, so make sure to do it someplace where you have easy cleanup. Leave this to dry for at least an hour or until it's completely dry before you print. Okay, now that our printing plate is sealed and dry, we are ready to print. So take your printing plate and set it on maybe a sheet of newsprint or someplace that will be easy cleanup, because this can be a little messy. We're going to take our sponge and just dip it in our acrylic paint and start blotting the paint all over the textured areas of our print. Now you can ink the entire plate. I like to try to keep the paint just on the textured areas that I want to print. But if you want to print your entire cardboard printing plate, or if you get some spillover like I just did right there, I can kind of wipe it off, or you can see what that print turns out like. It may turn out really nice. So I am just inking up my collagraph printing plate. Make sure you have paint everywhere that you want that texture to show up. I'm going to set that to the side. Go ahead and get your sheet of paper, and if your paper is messy, you may want to flip it over or give yourself a clean surface so that you don't get extra paint on your paper. And I'm just going to set my paper right on top and then rub it with the back of a wooden spoon. So I'm going to set it on top, just just like that, and give it a nice rub all over the surface of my printing plate. And I really want to get down into that texture to pick up all that great texture I just put down. So I'm really giving it a good rub all over my printing plate to pick up the great texture. And then we're just gonna pull up on our plate, and there is my textured collagraph. So I have the mountains in the background and the cloud and my string sun. Now I just want to show you how you can actually print these sometimes a couple of times before you re-ink it and get different results. I don't have a second piece of paper, so I'm just using my newsprint here. But sometimes the textures show up differently on your second or third print, which I always like. Oh wow, look at that. I might like this one better. You can really see the texture of the string in that second print. So it helped to lift some of the paint off of it the first time. So print these several times. You can always add more paint. That's one of the reasons that we sealed it with glue, was so that we could add more layers onto it and get multiple prints. So you can print on any pieces of paper. You can see the difference between a first print and a second print, and how they might look. Just experiment with your collagraph. Collagraphs are wonderful ways to get texture on a two-dimensional surface like paper. I hope you've enjoyed this month's Family Day at Home.